actually want to start with you did a video for Andrew Stanton for the panel that we did at Comic-Con. You sent in a little thing, and I just wanted to say thank you.
My pleasure. I love Andrew. He's a great guy, and a really terrific director. I had a really good time on John Carter. It's a great. That's, you know what, that would be a good study. When you look at, people look at all the successful films, they go, oh yeah, look at all these wonderful films that did incredibly well. It's like to go back and look at films that did not do well at a box office and say, why? What missed? Where did it miss? Is it the story? Is it marketing? Is it,
It's interesting you say that, because I've had this conversation with people specifically about John Carter. The movie made actually almost $300 million globally, but the problem is that the film cost so much money to make that it was not profitable. But I've heard people call that movie a bomb, and I'm like, it made almost $300 million. That's not a bomb. It just didn't make enough money.
And it gets that label, and then you can't shake the label. And then
it's very frustrating. I really enjoyed Andrew's work on that. But anyway,
I'll tell you one more thing that's frustrating to me. When I was young, there used to be really good film critics to come on the air during the news and to tell you artistically what they responded to, what they recommend you go see, a tiny little art house movie or a big budget movie, whatever, and somewhere in between. They gave you their artistic impression of and with a complete with relativity and you then made your decision. Now they fired all those people, and what they have instead are the news readers, the anchors, reading what the box office successes were for the weekend, as if the 5 top box office numbers that's a recommendation to go see that movie because it made that much money.
I will say, though, I do think there are some news people. I think of some of the people in LA, and I know some reporters around the country, but it is not a position that is as the way it was when I was younger and you were younger.
Yeah, it's sad.
I totally agree. I have to ask you, I read, and I have a lot of questions for you, but I read that you used to collect baseball memorabilia, and I wanted to know, do you still do that?
I never really did. I had a big birthday. I'm a huge baseball fan, and I had a big birthday, and for a lot of the presents that came on this birthday were memorabilia. And so I was given these gifts, and it's like baseball cards and baseballs and plaques and pictures and things like that, and baseball bats and this. So it's like, oh my, I have all these things. And I put them on display in my office. And I did an interview, and I made a mistake of having the interviewer come up to my office, and he looked around and he looked at all the baseball memorabilia, and he said, "You're a collector." And I said, "Actually, no, I'm really not. I just got these as a present." But he forgot to put that part in and said he's a major baseball collector. And so I would get hit up by people saying, "Hey, I've got a Hank Greenberg card from 1924." And I go, I'm really not a collector. I'm not a collector of anything, really. I don't particularly like too many things that take up my shelves. I know you do. Look at you.
I was going to say, don't look behind me, please.
You got all kinds of things. Do you have my doll back there, the Walter White doll?
I don't, because I don't. I don't think they've made a good enough version of it that I want to have it behind me.
How dare you?
I'm being honest with you. I think that if Sideshow Collectibles, Hot Toys, they make a super great one. I love that show, and I love your performance on that show, and I would be happy to add it behind me. So I definitely have to ask you, I know you were offered a bunch of scripts and projects. What was it about Jerry and Marge that said, I need to do this?
It was during lockdown, during the COVID lockdown, and several months into it, I was feeling restricted and disconnected from people. And because of that, it was created sort of an antisocial environment. And I thought, I want something to make me feel better. And I read this script and I put it aside. I go, that's really cute. I really like that. It's a true story. Okay. I read another one. I go, I don't know about that. It's kind of dark. And I looked back at Jerry and Marge and I kept looking back at Jerry and Marge, and that's always a good sign. If I keep thinking about something, that it's starting to enter my subconscious. And, I just thought, why not do something that lifts the spirits of people? And I, to this day, I say, Jerry and Marge Go Large will not change your life, but it can change your day. And there's value to that.
Yeah. When I watched it, it was what I wanted. Just like a feel good, like great actors, just it was a feel good movie, and I wanted it. And I really enjoyed that. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
So I have to ask, listen, I know you are a tremendous actor. When you are playing someone, who's real, like a real portrayal, do you feel more pressure on yourself to try to, bring that person to life? Or do you sort of accept that this is a movie where, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have I have freedom to do what I want.
With non-fictional characters, there comes an additional responsibility. Absolutely. I do. Whether I played Dalton Trumbo or Lyndon Johnson, those family members are still alive. These men did something of note, and I want their friends and family who remember them to say, oh, he got him. He got him. He got the essence of him. So, I'm playing Jerry Semblee, and he's not famous. And I told him, I'm not doing impersonation. I might even change your personality a little bit. And I did. He is a very gregarious, fun guy. He'll speak to anyone. He'll he's very outgoing. And I think my Jerry Semblee would be better for the movie in our little hour and a half to make him a little more reticent, a little more softer and not as outgoing, and so I took that tone, and Annette took a tone of a little more assertiveness, and I thought, oh, that's good, and we talked about it, and I think it blended and complemented each other.
Absolutely. And I always think that the real story's there. The movie, it needs to be a movie. I think sometimes people forget that, but so I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan, and I loved your work in Isle of Dogs. And it was a voiceover work. And when you were voicing it, did you think to yourself, maybe I'll finally get the call for live action?
I did. You're absolutely right, Steve. There's no question about it. When you work for an auteur like that, it is a big trust exercise. And we did this movie coming up, Asteroid City, in Spain, and it wasn't easy work. Working for Wes is not easy. It's very detailed and very specific, and so you really have to really concentrate hard. What offsets that is the congeniality and the togetherness of the experience. So we're all at this 5-star hotel in Spain, and every single night is a banquet. Every single night you're exchanging thoughts and laughter, and someone brings a guitar and you're singing and you're talking. It's just it's just so familial. It's like fulfilling an actor dream camp. It's like it was a really, really great experience, albeit again, the work was very specific and very difficult.
Were you, when he finally called you or texted you, or wherever you got the information, were you like, finally?
Yeah, and when someone like that calls, it's the same thing. I did the same thing with Tom Hanks when he calls for something. It's like, yes, and what am I doing? So yeah. I say to Wes Anderson, yes. What is it you want me to do? And that's the way it is for all the actors. We kind of show up and say, what is it you want us? How do you want us to do this? Wes makes an animatic and voices all the characters in the animatic. what he calls the cartoon. And he gets us so we watch it on a laptop. And we watch the entire movie that he voices on a laptop. And it's like, oh, got it. I see where you're going. I see what you're doing. And let me see if I can hit that target, the character you've already created. Let me see if I can point my arrow toward it and hit it bullseye.
My last question for you, because I'm just about out of time. Like I said at the beginning, I really am a big fan of your work. And I'm just curious, if you have like a big emotional scene on a Monday morning, something that you know will challenge you, how early on are you actually preparing for that moment? If it's like a day you have circled in your calendar, you know it's a tough day. Are you like, is it weeks out you're thinking about it? Like, could you sort of maybe just tell me how you like to prep?
Well, that's true how you're talking about it. You look ahead when you're doing a movie, you look ahead and you kind of gauge where your tough days are, where your easy days are, and you can monitor your energy output, and you can also start to lean in and focus on those days and how you want it to, how you hope it will turn. And it depends on the complexity of the scene. It depends, how long you have to really focus on it. Sometimes you get a character and you go, I know exactly what I want to do, and you lean into that. Others, it's like, it's still kind of outside of me and I'm not quite sure until I'm on the set and working with the other actors to figure out how it's going to come. And you just have to give in to that ambiguity and that unknowingness, and trust that it will come, because your interest and desire and your experience and talent is there, and you're going to pull it out. You'll get it. You'll get to it. But you can't always design how it's going to come. It's never really a point A to point B kind of journey. It takes its own tour sometime, and you're trying to figure out how, oh, we're on track. Jesus, that was interesting. And then you get off track and you get back on track, and it's bits and pieces, and they will end up cutting the parts out that were off track. And you're like, oh, got it. Oh, that works well.
On that note, I appreciate that answer. I really appreciate your time today, and I wish you nothing but the best. And, thank you for all the years of entertainment.
Thank you, Steve. We'll talk to you again.